It's Emil. It's Emil Guillermo. Emil, I'm out to you. Hey, the gong is missing. I just noticed that. I didn't turn on a light here. Again, I got that light. Oh man, I did a late. It wasn't really a late show, but it was like an 8:30 show. It's over by 9:30. I wasn't able to get back until late, and so I want to go behind the scenes. What happened at the SF Fringe last night for me? Uh, but this is one of the first shows that I don't have my gong with. My gong is like downstairs, and I'm here in my closet. Hi, it's Emil. Emil Guillermo. Emil, I'm up to you. These are my takeouts, my Emil Amok takeouts. Or this is the Emil Amok takeout. My takes on all things considerable. I got confused because I do Emil Amok, the monologues, and my Emil Amok lost NPR host was running last night, Thursday at the SF Fringe. If you were one of the handful of lucky ones who were there you know that I wasn't able to perform my Cirque du Soleil finale, but my back is well, and I was bouncing around somewhat. And I thank you if you were there. If you weren't there, like I said, I'll share some of the things. It's a great little theater there, the San Francisco Fringe at the Cutting Ball Theater, 277 Taylor Street. I've got the link up there if you want to get a ticket. Eventbrite. They don't have cash at the box office, so if you go, you have to go, and I mean they only have cash. They don't have credit cards. Oh, see, I said they don't have cash. Well, that must mean they're not selling tickets. No, they only sell tickets cash. So they had to delay the show slightly because someone had to go and get cash and come back. They did. Everyone was happy, but it's a lot easier if you go to Eventbrite for EVENTBRITE, right? For tickets to Emil Amok, lost NPR host, found in San Francisco. It's been interesting. It's always interesting doing a show. I don't do performances all that often. Once every few months, I'll do one when Fringe season when it comes up. Usually in the summertime. I've got friends now in Edinburgh. I got friends in Edmonton in Canada. Also, friends who've just completed runs in Calgary. So the Fringe is a thing, and San Francisco is part of it, part of the community of Fringers. And it's where you get to see theater that you just don't know what you're going to get, and you're certainly not going to get it at the Golden Gate. You're not going to get it at the Curran. You're not going to get it at those kind of traditional theaters. Even when you talk about places like the Berkeley Rep or places that should be more experimental, you're going to see things that are more mainstream. And I'm just saying that that's sort of the beauty of the Fringe. Anyway, my show, we had a small crowd, a small but appreciative crowd. We had a woman who came in from LA. We had a couple people came in from Sonoma, and a nice appreciative crowd to hear my Filipino American history for dummies. And some of them came up to me and said, I never heard that story. Oh, I don't know who this guy is, or I don't know. I never knew that about the Filipinos, because you don't get that history. You don't get that history anywhere in this era of anti-critical race theory, which people don't even teach that. But we have an anti-history bent now, and it impacts everyone. So come see my show. You'll learn a little about Filipino American history. Why is that important? Well, there's 4 million Filipinos in America, Filipino Americans, and this is an integral part of American history. It's not just Filipino history; it's American history. Surely you want to know about that. Anyway, it's The laughs are there. It's tougher when you get a smaller crowd. But a guy came up to me and said later, he said, "Oh my God, you said I want to hold your Olympia. Oh my God, Emil." And then he repeated to like crack up and fall to the ground, and we had to resuscitate him. That's the impact of the show. I'm sorry. On yesterday's show, I talked about what they're doing at the Smithsonian. They are repatriating remains of people who were part of this 1904 World's Fair, which I talk about in my show. And not just the remains, they're repatriating the brains. Brains. Why? Because there was the thought that they would study the Filipinos' brains to figure out why they were so inferior to whites. It's the honest God truth. You never heard that one, huh? Well, they wouldn't do that in America, would they, Emil? Yeah, they did. They did that in America. Oh, shoot. Really? We got a racist heritage here in America? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, part of coming clean about the racist heritage of the United States is just owning up to it and understanding it. That's one of the things about discovering that all these Ivy League places have dalliances, well, more than just dalliances. They participated in slavery, right? I mean, the shocking thing, and now they have to deal with that. Schools, UC Berkeley, you have buildings named for outright racists, people who, I mean, you got problems with some of the people who graduated from a school. How about people for whom they name buildings for? People who are, legendary scholars. I mean, that's what this reckoning is all about in the 21st century. And some people are trying to beat the reckoning by saying, well, you know what? Some of those ideas we had weren't so bad back then. Quotas and zero quotas for Asians and being xenophobic. Some of those things weren't so bad. Oh, yes, they were. I mean, that's why we need the history lessons so that we don't repeat them, right? Anyway, my show, Lost NPR Host, also talks about, my being there and the importance of being there and being able to tell those stories from that perch. But it wasn't to be. I was there for 2 years, and it's not necessarily about the grievance of that. It's about being able to tell stories. And so how can it be a show about grievance if I'm telling the stories right there, live, for you, in San Francisco? So don't miss it. Emil Amok, Lost NPR Host, found in San Francisco. One show left. And you're lucky. It's a daytime show, 1 p.m. Saturday, tomorrow. Catch the show. And if I get some clips, I'll put out clips later. We're filming parts of the show. But 1 p.m. Saturday, get there early. 12:30, early enough. Box office will be open. Remember, it's cash only at the box office, no credit cards. If you're thinking about parking, well, there's parking garages in the city that you can use, and then walk up to 277 Taylor Street. 277 Taylor. Don't be freaked out by San Francisco. I mean, I was there last night. My initial reaction is that all this hype about the negative part of San Francisco is just that, it's hype. If you're a human being and you're walking among human beings, there's nothing to have a problem with. Although I will admit that, there's some people who may need more care. I mean, obviously they need more care. But right now, the San Francisco needs a little compassion. And I think it's a good thing to go down in the Tenderloin to make art. It's a good thing to go down in the tenderloin and say, this is a there but for fortune moment. It's important. It's real. A there but for fortune moment. And it's humbling. I think that's a good opportunity. When an opportunity presents itself for a humbling, that's a good thing. And that's why, really, one of the reasons why I do these performances, not just here on the web, but on my show. When I did it, last did it in February and March. I've done it now again, 2023, here in San Francisco for 3 performances. So I've done a total of 10 performances just, this year, which isn't much. I hope to do 2 more in New York City in September. And I'm going to New York to do Ishmael Reed's The Conductor. Now, The Conductor is a play noted East Bay playwright Ishmael Reed has put together about the current state of race in America. And you should definitely check that out. It's at the Theater for the New City. And I'm putting it up there on the screen. So if you happen to be in New York, catch it. It's not going to be live streamed like some of the other performances when we did it in March. Some of those performances were live streamed. This one will not be live streamed. So you got to be in the East Village there on 10th Street to catch it. But it's the play has only evolved. I'll be there doing it. The opening night is the 24th. But definitely catch it. That's The Conductor. So if you're in New York. If you're not in New York, then forget about The Conductor and just get tickets to see Emil and Amok do the SF Fringe. It's the same me. It's more me. I have a very small part in The Conductor, but a very big part in a one-man show. It's just one person, me. Anyway, I got some good reaction from people last night. One guy came up to me and said, "Man, you just really lay it out there. This is your life, and these are the things that happen to you." Yeah, I mean, you think that you've gone unscathed, and relatively, yes, I have. But it's interesting to see the ups and downs of. Is it the ups and downs of assimilation? Ups and downs of trying to be a part of something? This great American experiment known as democracy, to try to live your life, and how I come to terms with it in the end. It's, it's a show that I don't just do for me, because I know I'm not the only one going through this. I'm not the only one going through a situation like this. One of the things that I want to do on this show right now is I want to say happy birthday to some people. And isn't it funny that the people I have to say happy birthday to are all they're older. And part of the play that I do is about being older, but also not being as old as I could be, which I guess is a there but for a fortune moment. But I want to say happy birthday to Paul Cobb. Paul is 80, I'm told. And as I like to say in my my one-man show, hey, look, the universe, 26.7 billion years old. We are all relative babies. Think about that. The universe, 26.7 billion years old, and you're like, I'm 25, Emil. Okay, I'm 40. I'm 60. It's all like, those numbers are so, compared to 26.7 billion, there's no difference. We're all babies compared to the universe. Anyway, happy birthday to Paul. Hope that made you feel good, Paul. 80 years old. and still much younger than the universe. So much younger than the universe. Paul is the publisher, editor of the Oakland Post, a newspaper in Oakland that runs a column that I write, and I thank him for that. And it's places like the Oakland Post that were that was a refuge for someone like myself, someone like a dear friend, Chauncey Bailey. You remember him, the African American journalist who was gunned down over stories that he did there. Well, at the Oakland Tribune and at the Oakland Post. And it's one of the reasons why I'm not surprised when I went to Paul and I said, hey, would you like to carry my column? He said, yeah. And we do some other things too. But happy birthday to Paul Cobb. 80 years old. Another person who's having a birthday actually had a birthday over the weekend. Herb Jamero. And this is important because my play is about an exploration of why I am what I am and my age. Because by rights, I should be as old as Herb Jamero, whose father came from the Philippines, and he brought his bride and was able to start a family. And Herb Jamero is now 90. I would be hanging out with Herb, doing what older Filipinos do, I guess. They don't play bocce ball. I don't know what they do. Or like Herb's older brother, Peter, who's 95. And that's a critical part of my show. You'll have to see it. I don't know, no spoilers. Anyway, so Herb turned 90 on Saturday, last Saturday. And then I was reading through my sources for news, and I found this. Rosalind Carter celebrated her 96th birthday today. 96, Rosalind Carter, by eating peanut butter ice cream with her husband of 77 years, former President Jimmy Carter, in Plains, Georgia. Wow, 96. And she's married to Jimmy Carter, 77. And you remember, Jimmy, President Carter's was last reported was in hospice care. And just showing what hospice care is about, he's still with Rosalind, still having peanut butter ice cream, still together, and still living his life. The waning moments just don't go off in a flash. But I saw that story, and this is a journey that we'll all be on if we're lucky. If we're lucky, we'll have a journey like Jimmy Carter's, where he's in hospice, still enjoying birthday of his wife, Rosalind. She's 96. They have a marriage of 77 years. They're eating peanut butter ice cream. And then it dawned on me that, if Rosalind, if she is 96 today, yeah, okay. I'm trying to put the dates together, because I actually went to Georgia back in 2016. And if you're in that part of Georgia, and if you're within earshot of Plains, you just have to go, right? I mean, it's like I'm near Plains. I've heard of Plains. and trains and automobiles. But I know of planes, but I've never been there. But I happen to be. I mean, it's not close to Atlanta. It's far. You're in the southwest part of the state. You're like where Buster Posey lives or lived, because apparently he's saying, "Hey, I'm a little more cosmopolitan for this area. I'm going to go back to San Francisco." He's moving back to San Francisco, probably to become more of a player in the Giants head office. I mean, he's the star. Posey was the star of those 2010 to 2014, World Series teams. Anyway, that's a big deal. Buster Posey's from around that area. But when I visited my daughter, she happened to be living there. And I said, we're close to, we got to go to Plains. And in 2016, I wrote this essay, this column, Plains, Georgia. In the land of presidential peanut farmers, I found myself to be the only full-blooded Filipino in the room. At Maranatha Baptist Church, the spiritual home base for number 39, President Jimmy Carter. And when the president looked into the pews and asked from where people hailed, I proudly declared, California, where the most Asian Americans live. And President Carter looked fine when I saw him that Sunday in Plains, but especially fine for his job on that day, Sunday school teacher on the 15th anniversary of 9/11. Yeah, I was there. It was 9/11, 2016, which is like coming up or about a month away. Carter, you'll recall, made headlines about a year ago when he disclosed having both brain and liver cancer and thought he had just 2-3 weeks to live. After treatments, Carter's forecast turned out not to be true. This past weekend, the second oldest living president, 111 days younger than President George H.W. Bush, now the late George H.W. Bush, seemed spry and quick-witted as he began his talk with an update. Carter said he just returned from San Francisco, where he had supper with wealthy tech giants, including the widow of Steve Jobs, Lauren Jobs, as well as the first Asian American power couple of the world, Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg and Priscilla Chan. She's Chinese, Carter said to his 99% white audience. And then he said how the Facebook couple planned to give away 99% of their $50 billion fortune to charity. Only gives them $500 million for personal expenses, Carter joked, drawing a big laugh from the crowd. It was just a warm-up for a Sunday school talk, or a Sunday school talk, something Carter started this month at Maranatha and intends to continue through September, or November rather. I step out from the essay right now because that was a big thing. Sunday school with Jimmy Carter. And it was amazing. It was just, I mean, I'm Catholic. I go to church Sunday school. You know, we get a homily occasionally at Mass. Oh, no, every Mass you get a homily. But it wasn't Sunday school with Jimmy Carter. Back to the essay. Sunday, coincidentally, was also National Grandparents' Day, and it was hard not to see the former president wearing a bolo string tie anchored by an 8-stone turquoise clasp that dangled below his neck as a nation's grandpa. He is a nation's grandpa, Jimmy Carter. I mean, I never had a grandpa. Carter began his lessons, general theme on dealing with grief, by mentioning his tough year that included not only his health news, but the death of his 28-year-old grandson. Drawing from scripture on this particular day, a passage on the persecution of the Thessalonians, Carter said such moments of grief were simply tests of one's faith, endurance, and hope. He said overcoming all that was a matter of self-confidence, and relying on our God-given talents, but that it was difficult in all phases of life. We lack inspiration. We lack the idealism to set our goals high. We've been satisfied with mediocrity, and I include myself, Carter said. People want an average life instead of aspiring to be outstanding or superb or brilliant or exceptional. And that is a problem we have, said Carter. We set our goals too low. We're complacent. We're satisfied with where we are. And then he applied the lesson to the historic day of 9/11. We're diminished as a country, and our goals for our nation's future are set too low. I'm afraid that our country and its effect on people of other nations has suffered from the aftermath of 9/11, Carter said. He didn't want to brag, but said his goal for the country was always to be superb and be a country that promoted peace and human rights. While I was in an office, we never dropped a bomb, lost a missile, or fired a bullet. Man, how many presidents can say that? Jimmy Carter could. Too much has changed, he said. Since 9/11, Carter said, we've pretty much abandoned our commitment to human rights as we reacted to terrorism. He lamented that Afghanistan has become the longest war in American history, a direct outcome of 9/11, as well as the invasion of Iraq, which Carter called unnecessary. Carter, whose administration took us out of an energy crisis, also pointed out how the U.S. is still suffering from a financial crisis that has exposed a deep inequality that has divided us as a people. We've become distrustful of people who are different from us, Carter said. We used to be a proud, heterogeneous nation, and now we are fearful, and we've become poorer as a country. In the pews, along with my mixed race family, Asian, white, and Latino, was another Asian American family, Tim Phan, and his three-generation family of Vietnamese Americans. Phan, a computer engineer with the Air Force, came as a refugee with his sister Heidi Phan and his mother Hai Lee. The native of South Vietnam was with her four grandsons, native of the American South. Phan pointed out that Carter won a Nobel Peace Prize in 2002, a fact that belies how many conservatives see his efforts to find peace in the Middle East as anti-Semitic. Jimmy Carter's sense of America and the world requires open minds to come together. Too often these days, that seems near impossible. Carter's complaints spread to politics in general. When I was president, I got as much support from Republicans in the Senate and the House as I did the Democrats. That's what Carter said. Now, if you're a Republican, you don't speak to Democrats or support a Democrat president, or vice versa. And many Americans are embarrassed by the presidential election this year. Carter's Sunday school lecture was turning into a mini State of the Union address. We've had a deterioration in the quality of life and the relationship between different people that now has become almost acceptable, said Carter, who added the nation had changed so much that it would be near impossible for the current Republican and Democratic candidates to declare their top priority to live in peace or to promote human rights. That was my inaugural speech. I only spoke 15 minutes, said Carter, who noted that this vision wasn't just his, but shared by the American people, who had idealism and high standards and moral values, and now we've lost that. Of course, in Sunday school, you know how all that can easily be found again. As Carter ended his lesson, the service with all the hymns and the doxology began, and the promise was simple. Stay and pray and get the photo op. Man, they knew how to get us. Stay and pray and get the photo op. And there it was. I should share this. I mean, I got a picture of my family too, but I'm gonna share this. I think. See if I can figure out on this software how to share the screen. And here it is. And there I am with Jimmy Carter. Oh my God. And look what a round face. This is 2016. Me and Jimmy, you see his bolo tie? 8 stones, bolo tie. Me and Jimmy. Jimmy Carter, who we're talking about today because it's Rosalind Carter's birthday. She's 96 today, and Rosalind celebrated by having ice cream with Jimmy Carter, her husband of 77 years. Anyway, I just thought I'd read from that. That's from you can just Google Emil Guillermo and Jimmy Carter, and you'll find it. It's on the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund. Also, aaldef.org/blog, although a lot easier just to Google it and find it. I've been writing for them since 2010, a continuation of my columns in Asian Week, which I started in 1991. So I've been writing a column continuously on Asian American issues and politics and race since then. And it's just amazing. It's like I've been writing for the ethnic media underground, Asian, Filipino, and occasionally the black ethnic media, now that my column runs in the Oakland Post. I think I've been in some other black papers in the past, but now because of the Black Newspaper Association, whatever they call it, there's an official title. The black newspapers, it's strong alliance, and they've been going strong. I mean, for hundreds of years, literally hundreds of years, the black ethnic press, right? Civil War, post-Civil War, Reconstruction, writing about the Buffalo Soldiers, writing about, in fact, there's a story about a Buffalo Soldier from the black press in my play. Oh, my play. You got to see that. It's Emil Amok, Lost NPR host, found in San Francisco. Check it out, okay? Here, I don't know if you can scan this, but if you can scan it there, please. But also on the screen, you can go to Eventbrite, EVENTBRITE, and get the ticket information. So we've said happy birthday to Rosalind Carter. We talked about Jimmy Carter. Happy birthday to my pal Herb Jamero, who's in the Fresno area. His brother Peter Jamero, older, but Herb turned 90 on Saturday. And then Paul Cobb, editor, publisher, Oakland Post, turns 80 today. Young. And there's a certain relevance to all this if you see my show. One more show, 1 p.m. Saturday, tomorrow. And I don't know if it's going to be hot. It's never hot in San Francisco, not in August. But it could be a fun time to go to a cool theater, 277 Taylor Street. It doesn't look like a theater, but because you're walking up, there is a kind of a marquee sign that says Cutting Ball Theater. But your eyes aren't up at the sky. You're probably looking at the ground to make sure you don't bump into somebody. And it's a narrow sidewalk, but it's a green gate. It's behind a green gate. There's a door. Check it out. Emil Amok, Lost NPR host. It's part of the San Francisco Fringe Festival, and there are other performers tomorrow. Not just my show at 1. There's another show at 2:30. Steve Budd's show. Good show. And then all throughout the night. The Fringe Festival, the SF Fringe. Check it out. SF Fringe. I think you can go to exittheater.org and read more about the Fringe. Okay, that's going to do it for me today. I'm just going to loop this show, and hopefully you can share it, tell your friends about my show. Like I said, the behind the scenes of last night is my back is okay. I can salsa with you a little bit without the use of a cane. All right. I was it's amazing how many people believe in meditation now. It's become such a thing, since mindfulness. I remember 45 years ago, I had a roommate who was into meditation, TM specifically. And I thought, what kind of craziness? Just think how enlightened I'd be if I had just followed my roommate, Marty, down the Transcendental Highway. But now I'm a latecomer, and I talk about meditation a little bit also in the show. But if you're a regular listener to this show, I like to talk about meditation or end the show with a little loving kindness. Part of me always wants to either be angry or fight back sometimes. Things aren't what I expected. And then I realized I just deal with what's in front of me. Don't strive, don't grasp. I know that might sound antithetical to what President Carter was saying. You don't be satisfied with where you are, and it's not really counter to what Jimmy Carter's saying. You can still be excellent and meditate. You can still be great and meditate. It's just you deal with what's in front of you, and you don't create the anxiety when what's in front of you isn't what you had hoped. Get rid of that. Or isn't what was in the past. Get rid of that. You deal with what's in front of you. You are in the seat of consciousness, and you welcome what you have to work with. So if 1,000 people showed up last night, that would have been great. But we didn't have 1,000. We didn't have 800, 700, 600, 500. We didn't have 100 people. We had a handful of people. And that was the audience that I had something to give to. And people might say, hey, you got nothing. This is for you, Amelia. There's nothing you gave us. We're all humans. We have a universal story. And my theory about storytelling is that you reach out to the audience and you're real and authentic, and they can't help but reach back. And somewhere in the middle, something happens, some great communication. That's where the insight is. And so it only happens when you're filled with a certain amount of love and you offer it to others, and then it comes back. Twofold, threefold, however many folds you want. So a little metta, we close with a little METTA, little loving kindness meditation. It goes like this. And so, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Till next time. See you Saturday. Saturday the 19th, 1 p.m. 277 Taylor Street. Get your tickets at Eventbrite. Emil Amok, lost NPR host. Found in San Francisco. See you then. See it for yourself. Till next time. Mahal Kita.